Hello, and welcome to Cease and Dice-ist. We're all here for the first time ever. Welcome. This is going to be the top.
Martin, your Wi-Fi.
What about it?
Well, I need it.
Oh, fuck off! Jesus, I don't know now. I'm sorry.
PDF?
Yes, and I need the internet to get to it.
Oh, Jesus.
We will have vengeance.
Just before we say anything else or go any further with this, there will be spoilers in this, so if you're watching it, I would just suggest that you watch the first episode of the actual game first, and then come back to this, because otherwise it's going to give all sorts of little bits of plot away. Let me introduce myself. I am Martin Hume. I am your games master. I am the host of Cease and Dice-ist, where we will be playing Farsight, the role-playing game. I have with me this erstwhile bunch of ne'er-do-wells. People that I've dragged, I don't know any of them. I've dragged them all in off the street. I have no idea who they are. So we'd better get them to introduce themselves, starting at the bottom end there. Maximilian.
I am Max. I am here. Is a good start.
Oh, that's a good start.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
Well, I don't know what else to say because I don't know who I'm playing.
Any
So-
role-playing experience? Have you done this before?
Yes, a fair amount.
Oh, good. I'm glad we got you on camera. You can see I picked the
So
right
incredibly
one.
specific.
That's great.
And mostly Cthulhu or other horror games or Year Zero more recently.
Yeah.
But
John's doing the sound recording and is slowly wetting himself in the corner.
See, I really think we should,
That's just me.
in for future, have John mic'd up as well, just so
Yeah,
we can
just so we can
occasionally hear the
We will hear him
stifled
on
giggles.
camera. You can
Yeah.
speak because we will hear you on camera.
Yeah.
You can chip in any time you want.
What the fuck going on?
Yeah. Lost the audience already before
Yeah.
we even started.
And we'll make sure to subtitle John as well. So.
Let's move rapidly along to Ross.
Hello, yes, my name's Ross. I have done role playing before, but I'm notoriously bad at remembering the rules. So
Or
we'll see
indeed
how
his
that
own
goes.
name.
Or my own name.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
All
Done a
right.
bit of acting and generally, here for a bit of fun.
That's what you say. It's all the swinger parties, isn't it?
Sarah, long time gamer. Started with the red box. Any kind of gaming, I'm in.
Right, there you go. Easy enough.
I'm Jack. I am the lead designer here at Cease and Dice-ist. And what's that look about?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Carry on. We can edit it all out, John. It's fine. You can say anything you want.
I've been DMing for 6 years. That's most of my experience, but I've also been a.
I thought you were saying most of your life for a second.
Yeah,
Yes, I am 6 years old.
I'm 6 years old and I have a terrible disease. I've got that one from
You want the Benjamin
Jack,
Button?
actually. Yeah.
I put Jack button really fast.
Yeah.
Well, and there's.
Was that somebody's false light that just got?
No, I accidentally tapped the
right, okay.
mugs that I've hidden away.
That's fine.
But yeah, and that's my experience, and I'm very much looking forward to this.
God knows why. And last but not least, by a long chalk, we have Zoe McVeigh.
I'm Zoe.
Now, Zoe, you're kind of our special guest.
I don't know what I'm doing.
You have absolutely. You don't know why you're here.
I did Candy
or
Crush
what
in
you're doing.
2010.
Yeah,
That's my game.
like your own thing, isn't it? So Zoe has never played a role-playing game before in her life. She has
Well, not
absolutely
of
no
this
idea.
time.
Not this kind of role-playing game. The whole nuns and novices thing is a whole other thing, but that we're not doing that today. You'll be pleased to know.
Get on the Patreon.
yeah, we get enough money, we're up for anything. So Zoe's never played before at all, and has never played role-playing games, anything like that. So we're literally going to go from the basics for Zoe, and the plan today is to roll up all the characters that we're going to actually be using for Farsight the role-playing game, which hopefully you'll be seeing on YouTube. So let's explain some really basic stuff. You're an actress, that much we know, and she's a very good actress. Basically what we're going to do is a form of improv theatre.
Okay.
So what we're going to do today is, it's like we're going to create our own cast of characters for our own play. Okay? And there's a whole set of rules that we're going to use to do it. So you can't just sort of make up anything. What we need to do is make up anything, but then see if we can fit it to the rules of the game.
Okay.
What we're then going to do is we're going to perform a play. And the idea being that it's a play that we don't know what the ending is. So we're going to literally create it as we go along. And you're all going to be the characters, and I'm going to be the rest of the world. So you lot are all going to help one another. The idea is it's a cooperative experience. You're going to build on what each other say about your characters and what's going to happen in different events, and the idea is to kind of help one another along. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to all be really, really friendly in character. We can have people who are good friends as characters, we can have people who are in conflict as characters, but it's completely separate from the players. Generally get on with one another. Jack and Max, bit of a thing, but we'll get into that. But in terms of the characters,
Not that kind of thing.
it's all about drama.
Oh, well,
it's all
okay, whatever.
Yeah, the rumours have flown. So that's basically what we're going to do. It's kind of a call and response thing. I'll sort of say, the ship is on fire. And you might, I'm going to look around for an extinguisher and see what I can do, and then I'll say, the extinguisher's over there. Let's see if you can float around in 0G and grab the fire extinguisher and see if you can put the fire.
It is more
So,
exciting than
As
that
a Logic
in
Pro
general.
man, the signal does look small. Does that look small to you? Talk?
Hello, how are we doing?
Was it just Martin you needed talking, or?
What?
All of us.
Yeah, you are a little. Well, we're all a little quiet.
Yeah, but we can
Because
adjust
you're cackling.
the gain later. Yeah, we
As long
want to
as
make
it's
sure that we're
recorded
okay for when we
something,
max
It is
out.
recording, so let's
Yeah.
just say the problem is that when you all laugh, there's a massive volume diversion when you all laugh.
Jax is
You'll
like-
be able to up that when you
I'm
record
gonna say,
singing.
I'm gonna
I
say we
often
can just
keep
up the
it
input.
to that,
Yeah.
I'd rather have it less and not peaking all over
Yes,
the place.
yes.
Right, so basically that's what we're going to do is create these characters. We're going to do it within this universe called Farsight, which is this new game that we're going to do, which has been published by Lightfish Games, and we're going to make some characters, and that's what we're going to do today. So we'll take you through it step by step, basically. So these lots have all done character generation a million times over and all this kind of thing. But before we get into that, crave your patience for a minute. Let's just paint a little bit of a story and a picture for Zoe so she knows what she's actually getting into. Farsight is a science fiction game. And basically, the background that I'm using, that I've written for the game, is that we are 200 years into our future.
Right.
And we've managed not to blow ourselves up or to succumb to ecological disaster or anything like that.
Seems
And we've
unlikely, but okay.
which is unlikely, sadly, but being the optimist that I am, and we've invented warp technology, which is it's the kind of stuff they use in Star Trek, so to go anywhere. So it means that we can travel hundreds of times faster than the speed of light, which has allowed the human race to have this diaspora. We've left Earth, we've tried to colonize and go and discover, as they say in Star Trek, to seek out and discover other planets and new civilizations and things like that. And sadly, the only problem is that what we've discovered is that everywhere is already populated, and there's nothing exciting or interesting about having sort of sentient life. There's loads of it out there. There's loads of other races. They've already colonised all the other planets. They've been doing it for hundreds of years, if not millennia, and we are the new boys on the block.
Okay.
And being humans, this hasn't gone down very well, and we start the most long and bloodiest war that's been known in galactic history for years and years and years, which is remarkable for many reasons. So we end up going to war with literally everyone for over 10 years, which is remarkable. This is a planet that's only just in its infancy discovered warp technology and manages to hold the entire galaxy at bay for 10 years. And what the other races are very disturbed and stunned about with Terrans is they have two things going on. One is they have a remarkable ability to nobble other people's technology and use it for themselves, so they can sort of go into rattle all the way through me speaking right now. Honestly, it comes to something when your sound technician is the one making the noise, doesn't it?
I also think the discussion of specifically if you go bring food, bring quiet food was something that came up.
And quiet food in a loud bag.
Nobody said anything about the bag.
Listen,
It's not
the
like
only
we had an
loud
hour
bag
of
we
set-
want from you is your wife. Thank you very much. That's like, I've got two. So basically, 10 years have passed. We have been beaten into submission. And to add insult to injury, one of the races, separate from the others, called the Kurgan, have made a sort of lunge in the last months of the war. They've made this push and they've actually annexed Earth. No longer can we call it home. It's been annexed by the Kurgan. The Terrans find themselves homeless, and we're basically refugees throughout the galaxy now. Our fleet has been disbanded and is busy being cut up at the moment and destroyed, The only thing we can sort of call our own is one last battle cruiser, which is used as for the head of our government, and about 20,000 humans live on it. The rest of us are sort of casts across the galaxy, amongst the other races and across the stars and planets. So we find ourselves about 2 years after the war has ended at this point. Things have settled down to a point. The war is over. However,
Everyone doesn't love us already. Only 2
yeah,
years after the
weirdly,
war.
yeah, weirdly.
Weird that.
Say you, I'm going to be playing an alien.
Yeah. So,
Maybe.
Well,
Uh,
you won't be an alien to yourself, unless.
That's true.
ooh, shock horror twist already. So that's where we find ourselves. Now, you don't have to play human at all. There is no push to play human. In fact, you won't be playing human. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay, good to know.
But where we find ourselves currently is there is an uneasy peace across the galaxy, but there is a lot of tension because the Kurgan, in the process of making this play to get Earth, have also captured quite a lot of territory belonging to other races. So we have the Kurgan on one side, and then we have what's the hegemony on the other. The hegemony are all the other races, basically,
Right.
and there are the big three. So these are referred to as, these are sort of the main races.
I'm taking notes,
So,
is this alright?
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, that's brilliant. So we've got the Navari, we've got the Valkyrian,
The what?
the Valkyrian.
What was the
I'm
first one?
probably saying all these wrong. People on YouTube are going, you don't say it like that. So the Navari,
Okay.
or
If you want some
Navarians,
blank paper, I've got
Oh,
space for
thanks.
that as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. and the Daylok. They are the three main races. All of the other races are sort of in and around their conglomerates, empires, what have you. We're definitely going to come across some of the other races because we know Sarah's going to be playing something along those lines. So, you though, because you've never done this before, and this is where all the spoilers are going to happen, where we find ourselves right now is we are on Zoe's starship. She is the captain of a spaceship, and she is Navarian, and it's a Navarian vessel, and it is patrolling the buffer zone between Kurgan space and hegemony space. So you're on patrol right now. Now, this is where it's going to get a little confusing. When we play out the initial scenario, Zoe's character will be the only true PC. For that little bit of the story, you'll all just be playing NPCs as we unfold the very railroady start to this whole thing. It's the one time I'm going to sort of twist your arm and make you do what I need as we tell the story for everybody at home. But what you're going to do now, obviously Zoe's going to make her Navarian captain, but the rest of you are going to make the people that she's going to meet somewhere down the line when the events of episode 1 happen. And as a huge spoiler, and I'll shut up talking, I promise in a minute.
No, I love it.
There's going to be a sort of psychic shout that's going to go across the universe, and it's going to affect your characters. Okay, all of you, all 5 of you. And you're going to find yourself with something sort of lodged in your brain that you can't get rid of. So what I want you to create today is the character just before that point, just before that happens. And what we're going to play in the future is we'll play out that as it happens with your characters. But for now, we're kind of meeting your characters all as they are you, the commander of your own ship, the rest of you doing whatever it is that you're doing currently now, somewhere out in known space. And that's where we find ourselves. Does that make some sense? Did I talk English then? I do worry sometimes. I hope that's kind of clear for everybody at home as well.
Can I ask a question?
Of course you can,
Sorry,
as many as you like.
Sorry for the stupid question.
Not at all. No such thing.
No such thing. They're just stupid people. So...
Just stupid people asking questions.
Stupid questions.
Identify as that. So, you said I'm the only PC. I don't think you meant personal computer.
I did
so...
not. I meant player character.
Right.
So you are a player, and you will have
I
a
am a
player
player.
character. It is your character within the game. So something that's perhaps worth talking about at this point as well is, you as the player will know all sorts of things that your character doesn't. So there's a very clear line between what you know the player and what your character knows. Yeah.
Okay.
Now that's something that as you watch the others play, I think you'll pick up on very quickly. These guys all know how to do that, and they know, you know, we don't try to what's called metagame. We don't use the knowledge that we have outside of what's happening currently in the game to influence what's going on. It is a trick. It's kind of like being real you and character you when you're on stage. You need to know that you need to be stage left in 2 minutes' time and that somebody else is going to come on and say another line, but you don't give that away to the audience, yeah?
Yeah.
So, same idea,
Okay.
yeah? Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Quick question.
Yeah.
These characters, are these going to be NPCs later then?
No,
No.
these are
These
your
are
characters. The
characters that we are
NPC,
going to-
we will just have some. We might not even have character sheets for the NPCs that you're going to play. We might just have a few quick notes that are kind of stuff just to give you some character, literally character.
Sure.
They might not even be statted up. But you know, somebody will be the engineer and somebody will be the security officer and all that kind of stuff. We will just play that bit out. It doesn't matter. These are the actual people you're going to be playing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what you're making now is a character you want to play. Something else that I will say right now. What you're actually doing while you're writing this character is you're actually telling me, the GM, what you enjoy in a game. Yeah. So, do you want lots of shooting and guns and action? Do you want lots of stealth and sneaking about? Do you want to be a thief? Anything like that? Do you want to use cunning and tactics? Do you want to use your brains and wits to get around problems and act your way out of problems and pretend to be other people and use disguises? So as you build this character, what you're actually doing is informing me of what you'd like to happen in the game going forward. So these give me clues as to what's going on. Now I know that's a lot because you've literally never done this
Feels like a
before.
lot. Yeah.
But what I would say is, if you want a guide as to what should I do now, that's your guide. Is which bit sounds most interesting to you, put more points into that as we go forward. So it's just something to bear in mind as we do it. That make sense to everybody? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, shall we start then? So Jack was just alluding to this before we put the cameras on. I've kind of messed around a little bit with the way they do character design within the book. For me personally, it doesn't kind of come over in a natural order. So I've kind of come up with my own order that we're going to do it in, which seems to suit us. I think when we've tried this a couple of practices, it's worked out a little bit better for us. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to decide on the class of the character that you're going to play. And you've got 3 things that you can pick from. For those following along at home, it's on page 42. So, the classes that you can pick from, and I'll just go here from the actual book itself. So we've got Delta. Delta characters are individuals devoted to action, endowed with great endurance and preparation that makes them extremely capable in dangerous situations and in combat. So you could be a Delta. A Sigma. Sigma characters focus on the reliability, effectiveness and versatility of their knowledge and skills, thanks to which they are able to cope in any situation. So you're basically a skill-based character. A Brainiac. Or you could be a Psi. Psi characters exploit the extraordinary potential of the mind, the mysterious psionic power, thanks to which they develop amazing psychic abilities. So straight away we're kind of getting into what kind of thing gets you going and sounds interesting to you. So you have your basic choice to make. Do you want a fighter, a thinker, or a psionic? It's that simple. You are going to pick.
You tell me what I want.
Actually, it doesn't matter at this point. You can pick any of those. It doesn't actually.
Well, what do you want me to be?
I don't mind actually.
Oh, I
This
think
is one of the few things I don't mind. I do know the bit you are going to be, but actually the basis of your character is entirely up to you.
I think maybe a Psi,
Okay,
but
sounds interesting.
I can't reiterate strongly enough as I understand.
Okay, so let's just pop Psi. So at the top of your character sheet,
We've got some example psionic type stuff to help Zoe and me. 'Cause
yeah,
I'm not quite sure
absolutely.
what
Oh,
we
brilliant.
can
Yes,
do.
we have. Let's
Yeah.
just move to Science Patch Chapter 5,
I think I'm
everybody,
gonna
if
go
you're following
Sigma.
along.
By the
So-
way, my chair keeps making this noise. It's my chair.
That's
Just like to
okay.
point that out.
Right,
For the viewers at home,
Yeah, so,
I've
yes.
not shit myself.
Yet.
Yet. Could get scary.
Yeah.
You have sort of 2 forms of psionic power in this. One is a very low level thing, which is a bit like cantrips in other games. Things that you call praxis or praxes. These are small little psionic things that you can do, and they don't actually require you to spend any points to do them. So this is like a point system. You have so many points, it's like a battery. Once your battery runs out, you can't do any more psionics until you charge your battery back up, and that's represented as points that you can spend. But praxes are things that you can do without doing that. So you can do something like, what can we pick here? Telekinetic hand, telekinetic pebbles, so you can shoot little pebbles across at things and hit people with them and distract them so you can sneak across a corridor, that kind of stuff. Telepathic message, so you can send a message to somebody, just a short sentence that you can get out to them. Kinetic protection, so if people are shooting at you, you can literally throw up a barrier, Wonder Woman-y or what's the lady in Fantastic Four? Puts the
Oh,
shield on?
I'm
Jessica
Invisible
Alba.
Woman.
Yeah, there you
Jessica Alba, yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
go. Well, we know which one's your favourite version. That kind of stuff. So small things that you can do. Aid, which is kind of like first aid, basically. So it's like a mental first aid sort of thing. So you got all these little things. So that's the little stuff, and you can get a couple of those. So you obviously, as your character gets better. So the other thing that will happen with characters is that we start at level 1. We are the most basic thing we're going to be. Yeah. And as we play, and you get more experience, you're involved in more adventures, you're going to move up levels. As you move up levels, you get better at stuff, and you get more things. So you develop more and more and more as we go along. Actual powers, anything from illusion type things. You can camouflage yourself, cause hallucinations, create illusionary images. I read that as light masturbation, light manipulation, which could be.
That's on you.
Yeah, absolutely. We have meta-reality, which gravitational anomaly. That's something you were mucking about with another character, wasn't it, Sarah? Isn't that what you've gone for?
It
So you
is.
can literally whack people into walls using, alter the gravity in a room and shove them into a wall and cause damage, that kind of stuff. It's got loads of other things as well. You can change time with it, all that kind of thing. You can cause temporal alterations. Telekinesis, Kyle. We've got boosted strike, energy manipulation, telekinetic barrier, telekinetic levitation, all sorts of stuff. You can stop me and buy some of these later. It's just to give you a hint of what they are. Metabiosis. This is things sort of to do with the body, really. So body alteration.
Go full werewolf mode.
Yeah, biopsionic protection, biopsionic affliction. So you literally cause damage to the body with it. Prescience, so we've got premonition, so it's kind of like danger sense, you can be Spider-Man. Psionic comprehension, which I haven't looked it up, but I'm going to guess that if you find a mechanism that you don't understand, you can actually use your psionics to get into the workings of the thing and understand what it might do, stuff like that. And we have telepathy, dominate minds, instill compunction. I'm not sure I should let any of you lot anywhere near that, quite frankly. And a mental probe. Wow. So there you go. Who doesn't like a mental
Everybody
probing?
likes a probe.
Everybody likes a probing, don't they? So that's the kind of thing you can do with psionics. So, what do you fancy being? What tickles your fancy?
Sigma.
Okay.
You know what you think?
I'm thinking space janitor with a twist, maybe an undercover spy,
She's only the
tech,
cook.
will, strength.
So, are you just going to list them all? Tech, will, strength,
No, there's
perception,
that.
dexterity,
It's
combativity.
3 out of the lot of them. I think those are going to be where her, if I roll in any way.
Okay, Max, what have you gone for?
I'm going to go for a Delta.
Ooh.
Because
Action hero.
yeah, it's not the sort of thing I normally go for. So
Indeed,
I thought I'd
yeah.
give it a go.
Rostopher.
I'm torn actually. Between actually probably a Delta or a Psionic. Well, Sigma means you need to know the rules, you have to remember loads of skills and all that kind of stuff. And as I said earlier, I'm just not very good at that. And then having to roleplay being clever, which I don't tend to do well in a game for some reason. So Delta appeals for its basicness. I always like the let's just hit it type thing. But I don't know enough about it. So I think as we're going through it, I'd like to go for one or the other, but it might depend on what the balance is in the team.
Well, actually, it doesn't matter at this point. You can come back and swap it out, but it gives you some very basic things to start your character off with. So what you got at the moment? Just going Delta or?
Gut was maybe Psionic, being a Drayani,
Yep.
which we'll come to shortly, because they kind of meld, they feel like they belong together.
I've got a question though. For Delta, is that everything under the combativity stat basically the better at, or is it just strength?
Yeah. So let's just what did I say? Page 42.
Because if they're very good at weapons,
Different type of deltas.
Yeah.
In which case, delta might be quite appealing actually. It's kind of different.
And I would just say, so, it's not very constricting. So it's things like you'd have more hit points. So you start with 15 plus your strength plus your will.
so you wouldn't be just a brawler. You could be a gunslinger or
Yeah. So and you get to
lots
choose.
type of
So you get to choose 2 skills from, as you said, the weapons classes. So combativity skills.
right.
You get to choose 3 skills from a list of things like athletics, alertness, medicine, piloting, fortitude, stamina. So you could go either way, actually. You could be a pilot, a combat pilot, and not have many fighting skills at all. You're much more about piloting, first aid,
Yeah.
Tactics, that kind of stuff. So you could play a delta quite a lot of different ways,
Okay.
really. You could still be psionic and be a delta.
Yeah.
Doesn't stop you. You just won't be as powerful as a true psi.
Yeah.
That's all. But you can do that. You can mix them up.
A stealthy,
Not a
so the other type of fighter, sort of delta type person, would be the slightly
So you like a
stealthier.
sort of Splinter Cell idea, that kind
Yes,
of thing.
yeah, yeah.
That kind of stuff.
I quite like that thought, really.
Yeah.
But
okay.
something true of Farsight is every other level you're getting something called a talent, and you get to pick that from a quite large pool, meaning that even though there are only a few base classes, there's plenty of room to spread out and have different vibes for all the
Yeah,
different
yeah.
classes as well.
So
I-
even if you all played size, I think you'd still easily end up with 5 quite distinct characters. Yeah, it's
So
the
it's
one
got a
thing you have
good
in common.
tree.
Good to know.
Yeah, definitely. So what were you thinking?
I was thinking Sigma.
Okay, so you're going Sigma. Cool. We'll go through what each of these gets just
Yeah.
once we've established what everybody is. Jack.
Yeah, so my character concept works with both Psi or Sigma, but as we've currently got, if Ross, are you going for Delta for your first test, or are you going for Psi? Sorry, because you would
Psi.
Psi. Okay, so I will go for Sigma for this first test because
Yeah.
it's quite flexible.
And then we're going to stick with psionics for you for now.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Test.
Okay, so
2 Psi,
are we okay?
2 Sigma, 1 Delta.
So for the Sigmas, you start off with. You might just want to write this down somewhere for now. But your
You're
initial.
looking at me.
Whoever's the Sigmas. Your initial vitality is 13 plus your strength plus your will. Don't worry about it, Zoe.
Yeah,
get
we'll
into all
go
this.
through that.
You get the following skills. You get 1 skill of your choice from the following list: cold weapons, energy weapons, kinetic weapons. So you can choose one of those.
Mhm.
Cold weapons, for those who don't know much about this, are basically blades, that kind of stuff. So bludgeons, blades, that kind of thing. Basically things you whack people with and cut people with. Energy weapons, lasers, blasters, that kind of stuff. Kinetic weapons have bullets or something that they're railguns, that kind of stuff. Okay. You get 2 skills of your choice from the following list: astronautics, computer, cybernetics, explosives, gunnery, mechatronics, which is large robot mecha type armour, medicine, mystification, nature, piloting, reflex, science, sleight of hand, trading, or 0G. I just put a dot next to all of them so you know what you're choosing from. Is the best way to do it. And somebody's going to ask me what mystification is in a minute.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to go and look up right now because I do know and then I've forgotten.
Well, I was going to say we can have a little aside we do as an insert where we go through each skill because, the next bit is any 2 from the others.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So basically just stop
Was
and buy one.
mechatronics one of those?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Mystification is competence in creating disguises, counterfeits, forgeries, and similar
Ooh,
artifacts.
Actually, I'm going to have to take that.
Well, you
That
get
goes
2
with
of
my
them.
character.
So-
It's sort of a bit.
Science.
So it's not
and,
only forging things on yourself; it's also forging art or
Yeah.
passes or that kind of stuff.
mystification.
It's almost a
Sadly,
trade
I hate to say it, but it's a bit of a streetwise skill, Sarah. Streetwise has been a problem in the past. There's a bit of a catch-all. Ooh, it'll come under streetwise.
It's versatile, and if I can make it apply to many situations,
Yeah.
what's the problem?
Absolutely. Okay, so you guys all right with that? And as Jack was saying, I think you get.
Yeah, any
And
2
plus 2
skills
other
from
skills.
those not mentioned in the
Yeah,
previous
you
points.
get any. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But I'm right in thinking you can't double up on skills you already have.
No, it's at this point it's just 1
Yeah.
of those. Expertise is actually something we unlock as it goes on.
Mm-hmm. We've got deltas in the house. Yes.
Yes.
So your initial vitality is 15 plus strength and will. So you
Right.
actually
But we
take
don't have the strength and will yet.
Not yet. So that's what I'm saying. If you just write it down somewhere for yourself, so you know when you come to it. And your initial skills, you get 2 skills of your choice from the following list: cold weapons, energy weapons, kinetic weapons, natural weapons.
Natural weapons being fists.
Fists, claws,
Right.
tail, teeth.
Okay.
But if you play a human attacking with the tail, you're probably going to have to roll very well.
Yeah.
Or just be male tail.
So that's 2 of those, isn't it?
2 of those.
Okay. Let's go for kinetic and energy then, I guess.
Cool. And then for this one, you might just need to put a dot by the skills as I say them because there's quite a lot of them. You get to pick 3 skills of your choice from the following list: alertness, athletics, climbing, computer, explosives, fortitude, gunnery, inspection, intimidation, medicine, piloting, reflex, stamina, stealth, survival, swimming, throwing, warfare, wrestling, and 0G. I think warfare, wrestling, 0G should be 1 skill.
Yeah. Gunnery, is that?
So that's like ship's weapons.
Yeah, large cannon type.
Or firing something from planet to orb, that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
big stuff. Artillery pieces, ship weaponry.
Would you count something as small as a regular artillery piece in that? Or would it have to be some sort of ship-to-ship orbit?
No,
Any of
normal
them,
art,
or
yeah,
only
yeah,
from the
well,
enemy
their version of a
box,
cannon or
or
something like
anything?
that.
Yeah.
So you need all of those. So you can't take 4 of those ones.
Okay.
We didn't do your
What
class
page is that
features
on?
as a signal, we'll come back to that in a
This
sec.
is hang on, 44.
Thank you.
You
44,
get,
so-
as deltas, you get the class features. Starting at first level, you can push yourself beyond your normal limits for a short time. Once during your turn, you can take an additional action on top of your regular action, and a minor action. Once you use this feature, you must finish a rest before you can use it again. And you get danger sense. Thanks to your military training, you are always on the alert. Starting at first level, you gain a bonus to your defence and to your initiative rolls equal to half your combativity score rounded down. Oh, that's quite nice. So, okay. A Sigma, we didn't do your class features, did we?
No.
Starting at first level, this is assured outcome. You can choose to use this feature when you make an ability check involving one of the skills you possess. If you do so, you roll only 1d12 and automatically consider the other result a 12.
Right.
So it's
It'll
an
make sense later.
yeah, which is an automatic crit, which is nice.
Yeah. And then you get expertise. At first level, choose 2 skills that you possess. Whenever you make an ability check involving one of these skills, you can decide to re-roll one of the d12s and check after seeing the result, unless the result is a 1. If you re-roll a d12 in this way, you must accept the second result, even if it's worse than the first. That's quite handy. And then we've got the size.
Yay.
Right, so somewhere on your character sheet, Zoe, you need to write down initial vitality.
Right.
Just stick it down here.
Right, okay.
Oh, stick it
I've
in
got
there. Yeah, sorry, yeah, beg your
Initial
pardon.
vitality.
Yeah, it's 11 plus strength plus will. So stru and will.
Okay.
And you get the following skills.
So do I have to pick from these, or do I just get all of them?
You get some of these, and then some of them you pick. You get fortitude and psionic skills. If you already have any of these skills, you can replace it with one of those listed in the next point.
Fortitude and
A psionic skill.
And
so that I see it. Yeah.
is now the time to ask what those mean, or
We'll come on to it. We'll come
So
on
do
to
we
it.
write 1 in the psionics rank?
Well, you haven't picked. Yeah, so you've got the skill of psionics, and then we need to pick a discipline, don't we? What you actually do. You get 2 skills of your choice from the following
you're
list.
psionics, aren't you?
Yeah.
So again, if you want to put a little dot by them, and then you can decide. Alertness, charisma, cunning, erudition, insight, inspection, intimidation, lucidity, medicine,
Not fun. That's enough.
Nature. Just put a dog bite on your skill sheet.
I know, but I've just got to find them because they're
Ah,
jumping around
right.
sections.
Okay,
you see.
sorry.
If you need
Yeah,
it.
where are you up to?
So lucidity, medicine.
Lucidity there, yeah.
Nature,
Nature.
science,
Socialite.
and socialite.
That's interesting.
Nature, science, right, got it. Cool.
Okay.
Intelligence. Nice
Do you pick 2 of those? Now we might do this off camera a little bit in a bit or come back to it, but you also get 2 praxes. You also have a psionic power, which we need to choose.
I think that's something that we should come back to towards the end, just because having looked through the psionic section
There's
is
a lot of it.
yeah.
Yeah, that could take a while. Yeah, absolutely. However, I just want you to put down, you've got psi points, and you need to put these on your character sheets, and they are 6 plus your intelligence. And then your psionic limit indicates the maximum amount of psi points you can spend when manifesting a psionic power. And your psionic limit at level 1 is 2. There should be a little box somewhere on your character sheet. That you can use.
Maybe next time I take a break, somebody could talk me through this sheet.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't worry. We'll make it all make sense before you actually play anything. But for now. Okay, so we've done classes. Now.
Yeah, also, don't go too far though, because if we start talking in earnest, it might.
Yeah, it'll blow your head off. So now you've got to pick your species. So obviously you can be Terran. Terrans are exactly what you think Terrans are.
Can we be? I know we can't be Terrans in the first bit, but these.
Yeah,
Sorry,
you can absolutely,
sorry,
these could
yeah,
absolutely
that
be
was just-
Terran.
Yeah, cool.
So just something to bear in mind in Terrans.
Mm-hmm.
You are banned from owning and operating starships that can get out of system. So anything with a warp
Right.
drive on it, you can't own it.
Yeah.
You are banned outright.
But you can be a crew member on it.
You can be a crew member on it. And because of our technical ability and things like that, we actually make very good crew and stuff like that. We'll come on to the Jairaki, which is one of the races as well. Jairaki and Terrans tend to get on quite well.
Right. Are they the little goblin boys?
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of them that he could be
Really
describing. It's the
Oh, that's true.
monkey ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're all they're all monkeys, aren't they? Really, we've all got opposable hands and things and stuff. And
Yeah, but there's one that's definitely more monkey than the
Yeah.
rest.
Yeah. So, if we run through really quickly, I'll try not to make this really dull to listen to. Basically, so number 1, and Max, if you can throw something up behind everybody, so we've got
Sure.
images of the
Yeah,
various
that's
races,
it.
and make a lot
Yeah,
more
yeah.
sense.
For now.
So we've got the Daylok.
Yeah.
Daylok are a species of stocky and robust herbivorous humanoids with an appearance that vaguely resembles that of a terrestrian
Sure.
bovine. Their culture is deeply linked to trade and crafts, and their society is based on a complex system of guilds, treaties, and laws. They are the traders of the galaxy, if you like.
They look tough.
Yeah, they can be tough.
Kind of.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're pretty short, aren't they? They're like 4 foot or something.
Oh, no, just
Yeah, when you, I was going to say, I think it's the next page from there. Or it's, I know, and the one, oh, it's they have different
the
layouts for
bottom
where
somewhere,
the
Dumpy.
where the
Yeah.
images are.
Yeah.
So it'll be the page before, but
Oh,
it literally says about height.
120 and 140 centimetres,
okay.
which is actually quite tall.
Yeah.
That's,
I mean-
that's taller than they look.
Well, no, because they're stocky. So the
Yeah.
fact that
That's
and 140 centimeters. What is that in feet, Max?
Well, what is it? Yeah, roughly.
No.
No,
No.
nowhere
No,
near.
no.
It's like
Not remotely.
4 foot. I'm 165, so.
Yeah.
140.
I've sent us off piece
See,
there, haven't
see,
I?
this is fine because
Anyway,
the camera
well,
will see me asking
they
Max
look
and
quite
then
cool.
pulling a
4.5, okay. So
yeah,
actually,
and then
that's-
pulling a very happy face, knowing that Max's estimate would be miles off from his. They're
Closest
quite
thing to a
tall.
space dwarf, I think, is what we're going
Yeah.
for with
There we
Daylok.
go, yeah, that'll
Yeah.
do. Yeah. So tough.
It's
as I
basically,
say.
if you want an analogy,
Yeah.
space dwarf.
Sounds
They
good.
have things like thermovision, stuff like that. They can live to about 170 years old. Daylok's physiology makes their organism particularly tenacious. You have resistance against biotic damage. There you go. Draelani. Draelani are quite interesting. They're kind of these guys, tall, long, angular things. In their natural form, Draelani are about as tall as Terrans, have thin, graceful bodies, slightly elongated skulls, four-fingered hands and feet, and a long, slender tail. Their skin presents shades of blue and green and is often decorated with traditional tattoos and paints. Their tapered faces have delicate features with tiny noses and vibrant eyes with bright irises. Their auditory system is devoid of external auricles. Humanoid species have a peculiar characteristic, that of being alternating hermaphrodites. That is the ability to freely change their sex during their life, and in doing so also to partially modify their physical appearance. So you can wake up in the morning and just make yourself look a bit different, if you want. They also have a weird thing, which I won't read the whole thing out here. You have the ability to mate with any other race. You can reorganise your sexual organs so that you can mate with anything. However, the outcome of the mating is always a Draelani. So if you can't mate with yourself and you just fancy something different, you can mate with anybody else if you like. I think that's quite interesting. Obviously there's loads more about the races, but it's just going to get so long and so involved.
Yeah.
Firaxi. The Firaxi are also known as Unan in their native language, or simply as Ferinids. Are a species of humanoids that resemble large wild-looking primates and have ancient and elegant traditions. The Firaxi have a primate build, but their features vaguely resemble a hybrid between feline and hyena. Their size is comparable to that of Terrans, and males and females apparently show no differences in build. Their bodies are covered with short fur, with light shades sparser on the chest and thicker on the head, along the back and on the sides of their faces in males. There you go.
Three eyes, by the looks of it.
Four.
Four eyes.
That's 20%.
Four
I
eyes.
just wanted to see that because it's the same colour as the background.
Like a Siamese twin.
So just in terms of game terms, I suppose, they're quite tall. They're about 2 metres high. Your ability score increases. Your strength and perception scores are both increased by 1. You get 2 skills from alertness, insight, mechatronics, and nature. Long limbs. Your melee attacks have a natural reach of 2 metres. You have advantage on saving throws made against effects that make you sickened. Irradians. Irradians are kind of, I suppose, amphibian-y, lizardy, snake-like race, if we're looking for a Terran analogy.
I was going to say they look the most like some traditional depictions of aliens as well, in terms of
big eyes, small mouth.
Yeah,
kind of
the tall
greys,
version of the greys, yeah.
that kind of stuff. Yeah. Now we vary a bit here because we've got our own background for Irradians, which you will find out in our other Farsight game, which you get to read. The Irradians, also known as the Dasharan, it's an ancient and culturally highly advanced humanoid species. However, in our game, yes they are, but they're also their own empire, and they're within one of the other empires, within the Valkyrian Empire. They're a smaller empire within there. They're quite a closed off society, the Irradian, which will come into play in the game as we play it in the other game that we're playing. They're kind of quite historical Chinese orientated in our universe, is their basic background. But to give you their kind of game stats and things, so again, very tall, between 200 and 240 centimetres tall. You get your intelligence and will scores will be increased by 1. You can hold your breath. You're not quite amphibious, but they're evolutionarily related to aquatic life. You can hold your breath for up to a number of minutes equal to your strength, plus 10. So, 12 minutes or so far longer than normal species. Psionic vocation, you know a praxis of your choice, so quite good for size, you get an extra praxis. You also have advantage on ability checking archaeological and ancient history. Bonus. The J-Raki are really cute. They're kind of like froggy, lizardy little guys. They're very, very cute. I like the J-Raki. They have affinity for anything technology. So it's not uncommon to find the J-Raki being technicians, engineers on starships and things like that. They also, incidentally, tend to be found in the breakers' yards and the space stations where the Terran fleet is being ripped apart. Those are the guys out there in spacesuits cutting things up with big laser torches and stuff like that, and salvaging stuff and getting rid of it. So in game terms, only about 1 metre tall. They live to be about 80 years old. They are amphibian, amphibious beings, and as such you can breathe both air and water. However, you are very sensitive to dehydration. You have the disadvantage on all ability checks against the effects of thirst. You've got infravision, so you can see in dim light. Uncanny readiness, you have advantage on initiative rolls unless you are surprised. Genetic knowledge, you have advantage on any ability check involving biotechnology and genetic engineering. And there you go. Kandrivan. The Kandrivan are an odd thing. They're enormous. The Kandrivan have also been infected by a nanoswarm, a virus. That's kind of up to you guys, because the other thing we've not really touched upon with this is none of this stuff is set in stone, as Jack is going to prove, because we've already talked about some of the things that he's going to do, and to a certain degree Sarah's other character in the other game. If you like one of the races and it isn't quite stacking up the way you want to, change it. You know, it's our game, it's your game, so if you don't quite like something, you want to tweak it, then absolutely do it. So in our other game, we've actually basically turned the Kandrivan into a form of space Viking. So they're big, massive damage doers most of the time. They don't have to be. Obviously, you can have people who are thinkers and things like that in the Kandrivan. But they have this infection. They're doomed to death. This virus changes their body in all sorts of weird and dramatic ways. So no two Kandrivan will quite look the same as each other. They're all slightly different. And as I say, we'll throw some pictures up later. In game terms, species traits, there's loads of stuff to do with Kandrivan. You hit maturity around about 13. On average, they'll live for about 90 years, but probably die in massive pain. Your base walking speed is 10 metres. Ability score increase, your strength increases by 1, and you can also choose another one of your stats to increase by 1. Skills, you increase things like stamina, streetwise survival, visual arts. Regeneration, you can heal the permanent consequences of any physical trauma within 2d4 days, including regrowing missing body parts.
That could be useful.
If the trauma involves a severed limb, you can reattach it in as an action, and it will resume its normal function within 2d4 hours. You are a troll. Basically, you are a space troll. You get some kind of mutation, and this changes depending on what you want it to be. So it could be amphibious, you could get claws, you could have some form of environmental adaptation, infravision, leathery skin that gives you an inherent armor value, long arms increasing your reach in combat, radiation resistance, you'll pick something like that. Unfortunately, you have a suggestible mind, so you have disadvantage on saving throws made against effects that can make you charmed, or something like that. So psionics, beware.
Don't worry, you're not expected to memorise all of this.
No, absolutely not. You just pick the stuff that you're interested in, that's all.
There's,
You're not doing any of these anyway, because I've already picked for you what you're going to be, so...
Yeah, I did notice that you'd been writing, but also you'd written for too long. It was, it had been long enough where I didn't want to be like, you don't need to...
I don't need
to
Don't want to be the school swat.
I don't think there's any worry of that.
Yeah. One that's really up for grabs, but you'd have to give me a good reason why you are one, is to actually be a Kurgan. So the Kurgan, as far as you know, that's the problem. You don't know very much. The Kurgan are a completely closed off race. No one really knows why they've made this lunge for Earth or anything, but they certainly have, and they didn't worry about who got in the way while they did it either. So there's been a lot of friction with the Kurgan, and nobody really understands them. If you're a Kurgan in this game, it's an interesting one, because you can start to plug in the gaps in the knowledge of the Kurgan, with your character. You can really take this race and run with it a little bit, and I can work with somebody and we can really develop something with the Kurgan. I've got some story ideas and stuff, but there would be you've been basically alienated from the Kurgan if you're a Kurgan because you're living in hegemony. You will certainly cause a lot of interest wherever you go because it's like, oh shit, that's a Kurgan sort of thing. So interesting one to play.
I guess Terrans still create a bit of interest as well.
They do, but they're kind of people. It's a bit like sort of. It's no secret that I based all this on sort of Berlin and Germany in 1947, just after the Second World War. I mean, it doesn't take much of a stretch to work out what I've done. So we had to get along with Germany, and we didn't blame the Germans for the Second World War. On the whole, they were kind of led by people that led them into that, and it's a little bit the same with the Terrans. It was kind of a lot of it was politics, and people got caught up in it, and people thought they were fighting for the right thing, but really, if we'd have just sat down at the table, we could have sorted all this out without everybody going to war in the first place, but that wasn't what happened with Terran leadership. So you're kind of refugees. So some people really don't like the Terran, because they've got a grudge against you for something that happened in the war and things like that. Other people see you as actually, they don't have a home, they've lost their planet, they've lost everything. Yeah. We need to sort of help them. So in fact, there are certain movements politically to try and get you your planet back, or at least try and find you a home somewhere.
But meanwhile, you'd think that the Terrans would hate the Kurgan, so there would be a tension there if we had a Terran and a Kurgan on board.
Yeah, and I was going to say also because obviously Terrans are somewhat new to this setting, and the first 10 years that they were around, they were at war, and it's only been a couple of years. There'll be a lot of them out there who they've heard things about Terrans, and it's just completely wrong.
Yeah. So there'll be all sorts of rumours like you've got 4 arms when you're 18 feet tall and you eat baby. There'll be all that kind of stuff, and they make you not like that sort of thing. So there'll be a lot of that kind of thing, a lot of myths and all that kind of stuff. So not to wander off into the Terrans, but the last thing I'll say about it is. I forgot what the last thing about it I was going to say.
Well, maybe I'll come back when you.
Oh, you were saying about there being resistance and not liking the Kurgan. There's a reason that the outro to our games, that song is actually a folk song sung by the Terran about getting their planet back. So it's something that's talked about all the time, and it's kind of under there, and there's a sort of swell. Some may even say there are rebellion and terrorist organisations bent on that aim. So, out there somewhere. But the Kurgan certainly are up for grabs. It'd be quite interesting if somebody wanted to play a Kurgan. Just putting it out there.
What kind of stuff? Like,
sort of species traits, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You're humanoid, but you look like a whopping, great big walking dragon, I suppose, or big. You look like a kimono dragon, standing upright in some interesting colour.
No, I know you meant Komodo dragon, but you did say kimono dragon.
Did I? Sorry.
Yeah, which
Kimono
honestly is
kimono dragon would be quite cool. Actually. We have one up. Yeah. I like the idea of a kimono dragon. That would be lovely. Yeah. Sorry. You live to be about 100 years old. You are nearly 240 centimetres tall. You have a massive physique. Your base walking speed is around 10 metres. You increase your combativity and strength scores both by 1. You can choose from fortitude, intimidation, might, stamina, Kurgan sight. You are immune to being dazzled. You are of mighty structure. Due to your mighty physical build, you count as 1 size larger when determining your carrying capacity in any situation where a larger size would grant a positive effect. Kurgan resilience. You have advantage on ability checks made against effects that cause exhaustion and have radiation resistance. The Doctrine of Honour. You have advantage on any ability check involving honour disputes and inherent traditions. Cold tolerance. As a native of a hot planet, you have disadvantage on any ability check made against the effects cold intolerance, caused by exposure to cold climates and extremely cold temperatures. They're massive, tough, damage doing.
Yeah. So they're a bit nesh.
But a bit nesh. Yeah, they all wear string vests. I think it's and the kimono. Hence the kimono to keep them warm. That's what it is.
Famous for being the warmest of all the sleepwell.
Navarians. You're going to be a Navarian.
Oh, okay.
That's what you're going to be. Native to the planet of Navarak. They're humanoid. They're the closest thing to a Terran outside of being a Terran, basically. They look quite humanoid, apart from being sort of pinkish purple, quite attractive shade.
Not the colour I would have guessed.
Your hair is actually effectively a form of feeler on the top of your head that looks like hair, but they pick up on electromagnetic spectra and things like that. They're highly cybernetic, never mind psionic. So they also have real affinity for cybernetics, so bits of machinery stuck into your body and that kind of thing. You even have, you can see on the drawing, you've kind of got this dermal layer, or subdermal layer that sits under your skin, and that actually allows you to have extra cybernetic stuff that other people can't have. You get that in utero, you're literally born with it. And I think it'd be quite cool. It sort of glows when you use this stuff. When you activate it, you kind of glow and do cool things.
Now, Zoe, how much sci-fi do you know? Because I'm not sure how much of that was coming into it, something you have no idea about, or is this, are you following? Yeah, because as soon as you were saying subdermal layer, essentially,
That's cybernetic, that's
yeah,
just science.
Because that's
yeah.
English.
then as soon as you said that, I was aware that that's sort of, that's something that
You have
it's a
like
specific
subdermal
bit.
wiring.
Well, I've written
Yeah.
sub-skin, is that
Yeah.
wrong?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
full
Exactly.
Yeah.
of technology, and then there was just, that was the word that made me think there's got to be words here
Yeah.
that just, if you're not familiar with sci-fi,
Well,
is the rest-
cybernetics is like
It's
a
not
robot
machine
arm.
getting
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
cybernetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely.
I've
So
seen
it's
on a
not
robot.
a machine.
Well, I was
Yeah.
going to say, you're sort of like a more svelte Robocop.
Okay,
Basically.
right. Half
So,
machine, half
yeah.
woman.
So you
Yeah.
might have augmented sight, but it's cybernetic rather than being
Right.
natural or
Yeah,
something
okay.
like that. You
Yeah.
can even have a gun that pops out of your thigh because you've got it under a subdermal pocket or that kind of thing.
Okay,
You know.
right, yes, thank you. But no,
And you've
feel
had
free
body
to
modifications
check
that
in when you
make
see the
like
look of
Yeah.
LEDs under the skin,
All that kind
imagine.
of- So
Yeah.
basically, when you do
I would like
stuff,
that. I
you
love
kind
an
of glow.
LED.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing. The other thing in my game, because of all this, they have the kind of most advanced artificial intelligences as well, so they're computers and things. They use AI all the time. Now, again, this is something we need to talk about as a group, is how much AI is allowed in the various different areas. Is it something that's even legal in some places, that we have sentient machinery and that kind of thing? For Navarians, it very much is. You are what's called a Navarian co-pilot. This is all made up, this is all my stuff. When you are born, you have an affinity to a starship. The two of you literally grow up together. And that AI is your best friend, your confidant, it's everything. You've known it since birth, basically.
Right.
And that's the ship that you're currently standing on. So things like the ship will have a pet name for you that it wouldn't use out in the open.
I've got a ship friend.
Yeah, you've basically got a ship that's your best buddy. So consequently, Navarian ships are the most agile ships in the universe, because with the power of thought, you can make your ship do stuff when other people got to physically move a joystick or program something and things like that. You simply tell the ship what you need and the ship goes away and does it.
Okay.
Of course, the other problem with that is, if the ship's pissed off with you, it may just decide not to as well.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if you're
I
having
have
a
that
bit
in
of a
my
tizzy
own
with
life
one another.
with
yeah,
technology
so,
that I
yeah,
often
absolutely.
feel has
So
taken
it may
against
be
me.
if the ship's in a bit of a mood with you, it might just decide to grudgingly not bother doing the thing that you asked
Right.
it to
Okay.
do.
Okay.
So, and again, it's deliberately, I'm not setting these things in stone. It's for you to tell me how that works. How does that relationship work? What does that mean? How far does that extend? You know, how far away from the ship can you be and still talk to it? All these kind of things. So, again, it's the same with all of this stuff. I don't want to push you and railroad you into things with your character creation. If there's stuff that you think's cool that you want to do, let's see if we can try and make it work and absolutely develop these different races in the ways that you want to take them. It's all up for grabs. We're writing this all from scratch. That's the fun of it, and we go with what anybody fancies. So that's basically, if you want to know a few things about the traits that these guys have. You mature at about 20 years of age. You live up to about 140. You're basically human size, so you're between 160 and 180 centimetres tall. Probably slightly smaller than humans, I suppose, on average. Your ability score increases, you're highly dexterous, so you'd put your dexterity up by 1, and your tech score, no surprise, goes up by 1. The skills that you can choose, astronautics, computer, insight, piloting, you would choose 2 of those. We can go back over all this, I'm just giving you a brief. You've got infravision, so you can see in dim light. Altruist, you can use the help action as a minor action, so if one of your mates goes down in a fight, you can get over there very quickly and do something about it and help them. Indomitable loyalty, now for me this applies particularly to your ship and things like that. When an ally is in imminent life-threatening danger, you have advantage on all ability checks made with the purpose to protect or directly help that ally. So your crew, your ship, any of those kind of things. You have innate cybernetics. Navarians are predisposed to cybernetics from birth. You can tolerate up to 13 cyber points of cyberware instead of the normal 10. And you have something called digital knowledge. You have advantage on any ability check involving computer networks and cyberspace. So not only are you psionic, you're also highly technical and very au fait with computers and stuff like that. And I think that brings us on to Terran. We've already talked about Terran, so we know what Terrans are. And last but certainly not least, the Valkyrians. The Valkyrians are lizards in every possible conceivable way, but rather than being Komodo dragons, these are kind of, slimmer, svelter dragons. They think the Valkyrians, it would be fair to say, are the Americans. They see themselves, they were definitely the biggest part of their hegemony during the war. They brought most of the money, they also brought most of the tactics that won. So that's if they occupy that space, if that makes sense. Something just fell over behind me. Whatever it was. Their species traits, they move quite quickly. They have a base walking speed of 12 metres. Again, around about human size, between 190 to 220 centimetres tall. Ability score increases dexterity, perception. Skills that you can choose from: alertness, athletics, fortitude, survival. You've got improvision as well. Valkyrian discipline. You have advantage on saving throws made against effects that make you frightened. Hunter's doctrine. You have advantage on any ability check involving tactical and hunter relating matters. Wild mask. You can attempt to hide even when you are only dimmed by foliage, heavy rain, falling snow, mist, dust clouds and similar natural effects. Heat tolerance. As a native of a cool planet, heat intolerance, I did it again. Oh Lord. As a native of a cold planet, you have disadvantage on any ability check made against the effects caused by exposure to hot climates. There you go. And that is your lot. So stop me and buy one if anything sounded interesting. Max, what do you fancy?
I fancy being a Terran, Martin.
Okay, cool. Shall we see what Terrans actually get? So you know what a Terran is?
Yes, I am one, in fact.
Indeed. So, we don't need to go through size and things, you know all that. Your base walking speed is 10 metres.
Okay.
Your ability score increased 2 different ability scores of your choice by 1. So you just want to put a 1 next to those boxes because we haven't rolled them yet. So I'll leave you to think about that. Select 2 skills of your choice. This is why the technical thing comes in for humans, because they literally get to pick anything. Everybody else, it's dictated what they can pick, whereas Terran just go, oh, what would you like? Just pick 2 of those and 1 of these, and you can turn them anything you want.
Yeah.
You have eclectic training. In addition to the one you normally obtain from the background you choose, you get a second background trait of your choice from those of any background. So this sort of represents the fact that you're all wandering nomads these days and you're all over the galaxy and things like that. Versatility. At first level, you gain the first rank in a talent. Remember that, in order to take a talent, you must meet all its prerequisites. So we'll come back to that when we do talents. You basically speak Terran and Esper. Esper is the Esperanto of this universe. Most of you will speak Esper in some way.
Just as most of us speak Esperanto.
That's right.
Such a popular and successful. Yeah.
Very common down that way.
Yeah.
I suppose I should say that in Esperanto to be really clever now, but I don't know. I can't.
What? You didn't study at school?
No,
Really?
didn't do it. No. Terrans love to fill their speeches with words borrowed from other languages, Kurgan expletives, Jiraki sayings, Iradian musical expressions, so on and so forth. Okay, you got all that?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
That's basically just like an awful lot of cultural appropriation.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do. So that's why I sort of gave them all the stuff in the war, that we sort of nick everything and use it for ourselves. Ross.
I'm not sure. I might wait for the next two, and then we'll create a bit more intrigue.
It's fine. Sarah, you got any ideas?
Yes, I'm going to be that weird Valkyrian bird reptile type.
I'll just go back over the bits for it then, because I did sort of
I
rush through
have
it a bit.
the stuff
Have
here.
you got it? Yeah, it's cool to go through it. That's fine. You know what you're up to, Jack.
Yeah, I'm being a Terran, and
So you've got all the stuff.
Yeah.
And we've already done Zoe kind of knows. She's written it all down.
I'm an Avarian.
You are. You're an Avarian. I think the Avarians are the coolest ones.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm in 2 minds.
Yeah. So I hate to say it, Ross, but we're back to you.
Yeah.
Everyone else chose really quickly.
They all sound exciting in their own way, so I've been kind of
that's
coming with different reasons.
To be fair, you can't really go wrong. I mean, it's
Yeah.
all just interesting characters.
So we've got Terrans in the party, so that's good.
Yep. So I refer you back to my original statement. What do you want to do in the game, and what's fun for you to do?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't decide. I'm half tempted to say it'd be quite interesting to play a Delta Kurgan actually now and do like all out.
Yeah, go for
smash things and
Yeah.
try and deal with
Yeah.
the fact that people aren't going to like me.
it. And as I say, it'd be a fun one to do because I've deliberately not put a lot into. I know what the Kurgan are up to, but I haven't put a lot into how their society works. So this is really up for you to sort of make it up as you go along, almost. Really.
Could be difficult. So
No,
that's
you know, but
challenge.
we can muck about with it together,
Yeah.
you know.
And
Or if
the
I
thing-
suggest things, you can go, no, I don't.
And if I was playing the Psy, I thought the Iradian, they were quite a good fit as well. They seem
Yeah.
quite an interesting bunch.
You'll need to speak to Sarah about some of the stuff to do with the audience. It's quite.
So is that
It's interesting. It's a really interesting one to play. So it's kind of Chinese culture crossed with Inuit culture.
Yeah.
Is the best way to describe it. So things like, obviously lots of Chinese namey type things, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
People wandering around in kimonos and feathers and all that kind
Not
of thing.
kimonos.
So
That's what you are.
Hand
I thought you
no,
said
that's
you
the
were-
Kurgans. Come on, they're
Okay,
ridiculous.
sorry, okay, all right.
But you're playing in a. Is that the one you're playing? Or
That's
in
in
the other game.
the other
Oh,
game.
Right, got you.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So imagine large family groups where you have duties of respect and obedience upwards, but protection downwards, and
I always have protection downwards. personally.
and there's no such
I'm
thing
doing it
as
right
a
now.
You've got
police
two hits.
force.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a justice system.
Learn this lesson.
This
Yeah.
is
There's
blending
one
three
thing
times.
always.
So your only chance of getting payback for somebody slighting you is if you've got a support network in your family that will take revenge. But people also keep a very tightly held knowledge of, I've given a favour to that person, they're obligated to me because of it, and I am owed to that person because of a favour they did for me. Imagine a very strong patronage system.
Yeah.
Would
Right.
you like to add anything else in? No?
Don't tap the mic.
Sorry.
So, with all that in mind, I think what we actually need to do is to roll up your stats.
Feel free, go for it.
You've actually got stats.
Go for it.
Yeah, but I was going to say, you said, could we? Was there something?
Oh, I
Oh, sorry.
was just wondering if we could have a quick comfort break.
Yeah,
Sorry, my-
absolutely. Yeah.
My speech.
Hello and welcome back to Cease and Dice-ist for our second episode, where we will finish off our character generation for our game of Farsight, the role-playing game. So I think, ladies and gentlemen, we've basically got to rolling up stats for all of your characters. So stats are these things, Zoe. So combativity, strength, dexterity, they are literally the innate abilities of your character, how strong you are, how dexterous you are, how charismatic you are, etc., etc., etc. Apart from charisma was a bad one to pick because it's no longer a stat. Farsight, but that's beside the point. So, yeah. So we're actually going to use some dice for this. So you're welcome to use my tray, although I haven't got 4d6. Have we got another
Yeah,
spare d6?
I mean, you can just use the blue and purple.
There you are,
So
the
you
little
can.
tray, you can roll them in there if you like. So what you're going to do, everybody, is you're going to roll 4d6,
That's the standard dice.
and you're going to keep the best 3 and add them together, and then you're going to tell me what the results are. But roll them all first. You don't have to do them in order, by the way.
Yeah.
So 4d6,
Yeah,
keep the best
this
3.
D is.
This is basically what every
the
number you
number
want it
is
to
the
be,
number
which I
of
thought was
sides it
always
has.
really good
So
when I
that's a
rolled
6-sided
it. Oh,
dice,
so now
and
this is
D12.
D6 is my favourite.
Oh, well, that one with no numbers on it.
Yeah, well,
So
it
you
rolls
can
a
just
6 every time.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
good.
handy. No, you
I'm
can't.
guessing
use
I'm
that
allowed
one.
that one.
Although I think that's what Sarah used the last time she rolled a character. I remember seeing
Yeah,
stats on it.
yeah.
It was ridiculous.
I
So
did
you
it
need
on
to do this-
camera. I
You
did
did
it
it
on
on camera. You
camera.
need to do this 7 times, by the way.
Yeah.
So you should end up with 7 numbers that we can then allocate to wherever we go.
Yeah, I used all my luck up then.
Oh dear. What have we got?
10.
Ooh, oh, 10's alright.
Are we doing this in parallel, or are we all?
No, just roll them up. Get you 7, and then we'll do something with them.
Yeah.
So I was going to say,
For it.
so if you
I've
just
rolled all dice.
yeah,
Just when it was
and then
going
add
well.
up the
2
3
ones came
highest.
out.
So that's 10.
That's 10.
So just write them down. You just want 7.
Oh,
Yeah,
7 lots of
7 lots of
That's
Yeah.
better.
the best with 4d6. That's nice.
Oh, that is nice.
16 will do, very nice.
Yeah, okay, good.
This is not as good as my other character.
Ooh,
It just makes them more interesting.
It
16,
does.
very nice. Zoe's taken your luck.
She has 8.
Taking us work.
Oh my word, 8.
Yeah.
Wow.
14.
14.
Thank you.
That's good. That's
I've done
good.
this a lot, you know.
Mum, shame me. I'll get there eventually.
No, it's just I've done this
16.
for years.
I got
It's
16,
all the
yeah.
company.
I'm doing
Yeah.
an extra mark after a bad start. It's
Yeah.
actually not too bad. Oh, here's an average one again. I've got a lot of 13s.
Just
11.
That's the average.
Oh,
I
that's
guess
good.
that's
That's 13.
You should be rolling
Yeah.
about
That's what-
14, 13 is the average anyway.
That's
isn't it?
terrible, but I'll take it. I'll work it
Right,
out.
come on, baby.
All ones.
Oh no! That
Just when it
is
was going to be like,
that is wow. That is a very powerful character.
That is a really good character.
but I
So
will
we're going to
say
do something
for-
with those
just
in
when
a
it was
second.
going
Okay.
But for the person new to the
I think it
game,
was 16.
I'll just roll them
Thank you
on
for
mine, so I'm not
your-
constantly
What was that? 8,
Yeah.
10, 11, 11, 12, 13, 16.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, it's pretty crap.
I got 15, 16, 14, 18, 10, 10, 15.
Wow.
I mean, to be fair, it can't be that bad because I've given you statistically more dice to roll, so
Mm.
you're still above average on virtually every
Am
roll
I
you've
adding up the
made.
total of these? Because that'll take me off there. Okay.
Right.
What are the bounds for the bonuses? 'Cause they're
So
the
I'll
same thing.
I'll just wait till everybody's on the same
Yeah.
page and then we'll do
On
it.
what page are they on, Martin? Just so I can have
They
a
are on
it's
page
page-
8, bottom left of page 8.
Mm.
So what we're going to do is we're going to convert them into a much smaller number in a minute, and then the
Oh.
much smaller number is what you're going to pop down here.
No.
Okay?
There we go.
Yeah, there you are.
You see, an 8, as much as you think it's rubbish, still gives you
Gives
a
you all
1.
one. Mm.
So it's not rubbish. Still gives you a bonus.
Right, let's see.
How are we all doing? Yeah?
Last
Oh,
one.
Jack's there. Sorry,
Yeah,
Jack.
no worries.
You were patiently waiting for Zoe to roll it out.
Yeah, that's true. And
Excellent.
I did dick about.
Right. Has everybody got their stats? Yeah?
Yes.
So the boundaries are from 8 to 11, they convert to 1. So anything between 8 and 11, they just become 1s.
Yeah.
So you.
Yeah, no, well, what's
yeah.
the other rules?
Oh, okay. You want to one at one go? Yep. Okay. So 12 to 14 would give you a 2. 15 to 17 would give you a 3, and an 18 gives you a 4.
Yeah.
Right.
So you just convert those. That's a really decent character.
What's this?
That's when you're the captain.
It's one captain. I've converted.
Right. So what would actually happen if we were testing these stats? I'm going to give you something to do. So you would actually roll 2d12, so 2 of these little bad boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We'd roll those. We'll get 7.
Mm-hmm.
You then add this number. So if it was, I don't know, let's say your intelligence is 16, so you'd add 3, so we get 10. And then it might need one of these skills going on to it. So an intelligence skill of some sort, you might add, I don't know, medicine to it. And would there be another little number in here? That might be another 2 in there. So we'd have your 7 plus 3 is 10, plus 2 is 12, and you'd still fail because the lowest number you've got to beat is 13. So unfortunately, it would have been a fair roll. But anyway, but you're trying to beat a number. So I'm going to say you need to roll more than 13 to succeed.
I do.
Not right now.
Personally.
Yeah, you would
What
do in
about
the
them?
game. They might do when they do something as well.
Right.
Yeah. So when you do something in the game, we'll decide that it's something that you might have to roll for. A lot of the time, it won't be something you roll for. I'll just say, well, you're really cool, so you do that automatically. But if it's something that's really under pressure, or you've got a time
Right, yeah,
constraint,
yeah,
or
you'll
somebody's
roll for
shooting at you, you would roll dice. Yeah. So, but just remember, you are a level 1 character as well, so you're not that good at anything. So what you're going to do now is assign these numbers into the stat boxes, basically. I'll tell you for nothing, as a psionic, you want high intelligence. You want the biggest number you can get in there.
Right.
Yeah?
Okay.
And that will power your psionics as much as anything else. All the other stuff, it's pretty much you can see what skills it would push underneath.
I see. So there's 7 numbers now.
Yep, that's it.
And
they
am I
come
putting
up-
these numbers
No,
or
just
the
these
converted
numbers,
numbers?
yeah,
Right.
so the numbers
So
that
I
we
put a
convert
3 in
into.
intelligence
Yep.
because you
And then if
said
you
I
scratch
should.
up a 3 and you know you've used it basically. But
Okay.
since you've got a plethora of 3s, you big show off.
And then what can I read?
Absolutely. How's everybody else doing?
Yeah, I think I've.
Well, pretty much there.
Oh, nice.
I think Max and Ross are just having a bit of a discussion
Well,
at the bottom end.
I've got a 3 in there.
So I'm flipping to a delta, so I just need. So I'm going to tidy that up whilst also
Yep, okay.
sort of putting these
Species.
things in.
You're not having the thinking man's Kurgan anymore then, is that?
No, going all in on the. So my 2 3s.
They're kind of wonderfully freeing to play though, characters like that, aren't they? You can just
I think so.
punch stuff and get on
That's not
with
what
it.
I'm like at all. So combativity and strength would be my natural 2 3s that I've got. We're going to
Okay.
go and
Yep, sounds about right.
slot them in there, I think.
I filled them out, but I don't know what I did.
Ace, that's absolutely fine.
Martin, where are the classes? On what page are they?
The classes are on page 42.
40.
Oh yes, that was it. That was the answer to everything.
Hey.
And then backgrounds, isn't it?
Yeah, and then
more
you've got your
points.
backgrounds as well, which is page 32.
Label them properly.
But what I want to talk about, so these lot can get on with all that. I'm going to leave you, you know what to do now. You can do backgrounds and things like that, and then we'll come back to you guys to do a quick summation in a bit.
Testing.
But what I'd really like to get
Okay.
into these potatoes with you, Zoe, is not so much the numbers,
Okay.
it's kind of what's she called, and what's your ship called,
Okay.
and what's the relationship between you and your ship. Do you have a good relationship with your ship?
Okay.
Is it like a sister to you, or a brother to you, or is it like a mother to you, or a father to you, or is it not that kind of relationship at all? Is it a very functional relationship that it's a tool to be used or whatever? So have an idea, have a think about those ideas, what you think that relationship might be. Because it's certainly an important relationship for you, that's without doubt, because you've known this ship all your life. You know. Is it actually a replacement for a parent that you've lost, or a sibling that you've lost, or something like that? Is there something in your background that, you know, might make you feel about that ship in a certain way, or something like that?
Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of name, any idea what you might call your character? Anything that springs to mind?
Maybe like, I don't know if it's shit, but like maybe like Kiki.
Yeah, what's wrong with Kiki? That's absolutely fine. Yeah, Kiki's good.
I just like
Delivery
it.
service.
Absolutely, that's exactly where I went.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I don't get
Studio Ghibli, so it's
Yeah.
it's a very fine name to pick.
Japanese cartoon.
Yeah, very
Cool.
famous.
I had a
one.
guinea pig called Kiki once. I really liked it.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
Oh.
Kiki is
Kiki
great.
it is.
Absolutely. Would your crew? How do they refer to you? Have you got a very formal ship where your crew refers? Would they just call you captain, or are they allowed to call you Kiki, or do you have a more formal version of your name? Is this short for like Kiki Sandra Vanagran or something? You know, much more long-winded, but nobody calls you that unless it's a really formal situation or something.
Or not. It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to
No,
be.
I
That's
don't
what,
think
that's what I'm
so.
asking.
I think that my crew would call me captain,
Okay.
unless there's like a better name that anyone can think of.
Mm.
And then like some crew would call me like an affectionate name.
So okay,
Like
so
my-
this is
like
a
my
crew. So
close
can we
crew.
assume then this is a crew that's been together for quite some time?
Yeah, I reckon.
You might have fought together during the war, maybe, and you formed some bonds with some of the people
Yeah, I
on
like
board
to
your
think
ship,
so,
that
yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, cool. So that's nice. I like that. So it might be worth just noting that down under this little section on your character sheet, just so we've got this idea of, you know, what's going on. What's the ship called? Name another guinea pig.
So
I
it's
can't,
looking
I
like
can't
a
all be guinea
company
pigs.
now, the
Well, I'm Captain Oates, that's no good. Maybe like Danson?
Danson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's quite a male name, is it?
It's a male ship.
It's a male ship.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you want to write that down as well? I like that.
My character.
Yeah.
He sounds quite formal actually. He's almost like Jarvis in Iron Man. You know, the kind of the
It's
Iron
like I
Man
have a
suit.
little bit of text.
Yeah, I always say it sort of comes over like that. Unless it's Ted Danson, which
But
was from
it
Cheers and which
has
basically-
No, I wasn't
Apart
thinking
from
of Ted
Cabarro.
Danson. Yeah,
What I
could
would
be,
kind of
could
say
be,
is
yeah.
coming down
I
to
feel
the
like
So
I feel like I want my ship to be like
Rather
maybe
than
must
five.
like I'm more of a friend, like
Yeah.
an equal
With
Yeah.
and a confidant, and maybe like I'm a bit unconfident and my ship's like, come on.
Yeah. Okay.
Something
Yes,
like
that's interesting. Yeah, I like
Well, I
that.
was
They, so they
thinking
like
going
sort of
here,
give you
criminal
that
action,
boost.
criminal
Sometimes you don't feel like.
Yeah.
So do you struggle sometimes with the idea of being captain? Does some of that decision making?
I think maybe
Not so
I would
easily.
find the pressure
Oh,
of
the skill.
you know managing people difficult.
And why is that? Did you lose people during the war?
Under strength.
And do you not want to see other people?
Yeah,
get-
maybe I feel like I've had to make difficult decisions
Yeah.
and difficult calls.
So it was like you lost one man to
Yeah.
save six, but you still
Maybe-
lost a
yeah,
man.
maybe
kind
there's
of thing.
something in
It
my
was like
past.
it's like that maths that you have to do as a captain is like, I might lose two people on this away
Yeah.
mission, but it saves the rest of the crew or something like that.
Yeah,
So perhaps that comes back to bother you.
yeah. I definitely
occasionally.
feel like a past
Yeah.
trauma has
So-
not my confidence.
Do you think there was a particular
I
incident
didn't
maybe
see
that
that
might have
comment.
caused
I
that
thought
to
that was
happen?
throwing
at all?
Maybe do I have to decide it now?
No, maybe. Well, it might just
Rocks.
be just the notion that there is a particular incident.
Because I don't know the game very well. Like I feel like I might think about that one.
Yeah.
Do you
And bearing
mean?
in mind that you can make it up, so it's your game
Isn't
as
it
well.
all? Is this not all made up?
Yeah, but what I mean is you can make up
No,
your
it's
bit of
all
it. You can make
real.
up your corner of it.
Oh right.
You don't just have to go with what's written in the book or what I've said.
No, but
True
like when I
stories
hear
from
more
200
about
years
the
in the
war
future.
and the stuff, I might be like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, absolutely.
that
So
triggered a memory.
absolutely, and we're going to come back to that. It's an interesting point because we're going to come back to that because I've tweaked the game a bit. These guys don't know this either. There's a couple of bits that are going to happen during game design in a second when everyone gets to the same point, where we're actually going to add in a couple of things that we're going to do, which are going to mix it up a little bit to do with exactly that.
Okay, cool.
So you will be given the opportunity to retcon things. The other things that we generally have as a game rule normally when we run games is because this is a new game and it's a new system to all of us, we've not actually played it yet. Nobody's played it yet around the table.
Right.
It might be that what we discover is some of the choices we made are just horrible and
Yeah.
we've really made a massive
Yeah,
mistake.
yeah, and then it's
So
a bit
for the
forward.
first few sessions we just go, that's not working, and completely we retcon the character. We just go back, we rub out the numbers, put them somewhere else until we kind of go, okay, that's the character I was actually after, and those are the skills that actually make that happen. So none of this, just because you wrote it on the character sheet, none of it's
Well,
written in stone.
I've only written it in pencil.
Oh well, then we're even better.
That's what rubbers
So-
were invented for, see?
Yeah.
Can I sharpen with your sharpener? Thanks.
No!
Really cute.
How dare
Really
you.
cute show.
Can we go back
Yeah.
to
I
the
don't
And,
really-
and the
species
teeth
so I get
actually
species
bump
bonus?
up. No, on the other side. The teeth go up and down as it chews on the end of your pencil.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
I saw that thing. I saw a TikTok yesterday about a pencil. Well, sorry, this is off topic, but it said too cool to do drugs. But then as it got sharpened, it said cool to do drugs, and then eventually just do drugs.
Brilliant. Love it.
Bit of a misfire.
Something, I know you're all busy, but starting with Max,
Yeah.
just on the top of your character sheet, can you write the number 1 on the top of your character sheet? Ross, you write the number 2. Sarah, you write the number 3. Jack 4. Zoe 5.
I've already
We're going to come
preempted.
back. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm guessing you've got that by the time I got to
I
Ross.
cracked
Yeah.
that code.
Yeah.
Martin,
Absolutely.
I put the one you want in a circle because I put all my as well. It may confuse you if you come to 16.
I think the clue is that the person next to you is number 2.
Yes.
So, you know, I might as well give it away. Absolutely. How are we doing, folks?
Yeah, good. Because Taran, it does mean that I'm having to work out talent as well, which is what slowed it down.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I think the rest
That's
of it got.
I would just say, Jack, that feel free to withhold. I know you've got a little bit more of a developed character, and
Yeah.
I've deliberately not alluded to it because I'm leaving you to divulge what you feel everybody would know compared to what we're going to work out as the game goes on.
Yeah, okay.
So absolutely, you don't have to sort of really
Okay.
it all out. You know, keep it and we use it as story. We
Yeah.
can have your little adventure. 'cause
Adds to the
everybody's got the
drama
spotlight.
for these guys.
Yeah.
No problem.
Absolutely, make it a bit more fun. So as we
Martin,
go.
is Fortitude one of the ones that doesn't appear on the character sheet? It's called something else.
No, it is on there. It's a
What is it-
skill.
what do we think that
it's
means?
under will.
Well, let's look it up. Skills are on page 73. Let's go over it.
Endurance. Is it? No, it's will though.
I think it's the power to push on through adversity, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, it's
But
a
let's-
mental fortitude, so it's like it's used against psionics
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Oh,
like
is
a
it?
will, you know,
Yeah.
like a will roll kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a common
Effectively.
one you have to roll on some of the mind affecting ones.
So it gives you a good bit of defence.
What's it under, guys? Is it under intelligence?
It's under will.
Under will, thank you. Of course it is. That makes
I'm
it.
just deciding.
It represents the ability to control emotions, impulses, and reactions, and to resist effects that subdue or bend the will. There you go. that kind of stuff. Do we feel at this point that we kind of have a rough idea of our characters and where they're going?
I think I've got a pretty
Yeah.
good idea, yeah.
Does everybody have a name for their character?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
What's happening?
There are example names for the various races if you want to stop and buy one from the...
I'm actually interested in what the example names for the Terrans are.
Steve.
I'm hoping Terry is one of them. You know, Terry the
Yeah.
Terran. That would be, you know...
Where were the Terrans?
Bob
For the
is always a good
Terran
option.
I'm going near the bottom, actually.
Pardon?
Sorry?
Terran's near the bottom.
Of course it is.
Has it
Well,
got
it's
example
alphabetical
names?
order. So
Humans.
Yeah, we are.
Oh,
7 names. So go on, keep going. Let's see what
It wusses out.
Brian.
Oh,
cowards.
It wusses out. Anything you like, basically.
Do you not have names that can be considered truly typical?
Yeah.
Basically, that's what they refer to as.
What about Keith?
Yeah,
Could
be
be
Keith.
I was thinking Dante.
Yeah, well, quite Italian, considering
Yeah.
we're playing the game's written by an Italian company.
Oh, right, yes.
Just
See?
put that in.
Just take a celebrity name. Dante Basco, the guy who voices Prince Zuko and is Rufio in.
You're just making up words.
Yeah,
Donatella Versace. He was
Yeah.
Italian.
absolutely.
I'm sure.
Oh man, imagine being the heir to the Versace line and then you're stuck in space.
Yeah.
Where,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all gone.
And everybody keeps saying
Or
Versace.
You've got a really beautiful space station.
Yeah. Or there's all this wealth on Earth and you just can't get to
Yeah,
it.
yeah, all
Oh,
gone.
man.
All of that kind of stuff.
Right.
Valkyrian one, Sarah, if you wanted are you a lady or a gentleman? Or are you neither?
I think they are somewhat androgynous because they can literally pass for anyone with the natural born imposter trait from the criminal background.
So are you a they there or are you a Shuri or
I think they them. Yeah.
Yep, okay.
That would work.
Go with that.
They don't really care about such inconsequential
So
matters.
you could do how would we work that then? What do you want to do about the names then? Which way do you want to go, as it were?
I
Would you go
think
male
they
or
would
female?
go by a surname and a otherwise gender neutral name.
How about you just go as a surname?
I like Prince.
And then it keeps it completely
Yeah,
His
sure.
surname.
Yeah, that's what we do that.
You're just a symbol. Yeah.
What
I'd
page
rather
The
it
problem
that
is that the
than-
symbol you'd be is like that though, isn't
Yeah.
it?
It really would.
Yeah. So Valkyrian surnames are things like Atrovian, Barian, Baturius, Cavendus.
What page are we on?
Sorry,
for that?
page 31. Sorry,
31.
you have eyes and you can
Quite
look
so-
for yourself.
Quite sort of Latin-y.
Yeah, quite Romanesque type things, aren't they? Yeah. Absolutely.
See, there's an Alarek and an Altea, so they could be Al something.
You could, yeah.
Let's see. Quintillion, I quite like that.
Quintillion, that's a good one.
Quins.
Quint.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know it's Quint to everybody, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, so you are just Quintillion or Quint.
Yes.
And you get, well, it's entirely up to you, but I really like the idea that, like, you know, if there's like a rap sheet, it's got your full name on it, and you really hate it when people like use your full name, and it's because nobody knows your actual full name,
Yeah.
you're just known as Quint.
Yeah.
I quite like that idea. Max, you got a name there, my friend?
I'm struggling with surname.
You know,
And I
Plantagenet.
Well, I was thinking Dante Butterworth or something. But it just,
I love the cross.
well, that's what I was
It's like a
thinking.
really exciting first name and then a really mundane.
Yeah.
Lives in the countryside.
Yeah, where's Tweed along?
Could I have a look at...
Ross?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sort
no,
of
it's-
amazingly got this bit nailed
Yeah,
down.
cool. We'll just
Yeah,
let,
no problem.
and then what we'll do is we'll go along the line, everybody can introduce their characters, and that
Sorry.
kind of pretty much gets us
Just
where we
having
need to be, I think.
give it a minute to.
Backstory for me and everything.
What do you want? What are you looking for?
Navarian surnames.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, Quint.
that way.
No problem.
Maybe next time I can have access to this material.
He's trying to take a sneaky photo.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, that works. Right. Here I've got kind of a
Okay.
handle
Yeah,
beginning on the character.
Beautiful. Beautiful. We're all warmed up a bit now.
Joe, do you
Yeah,
want
it's
to go
getting
to
a bit
Good.
better.
I've put the heater back on. So it's absolutely freezing down here today. We're in the middle of a Mancunian winter right now, and it's very, very cold in our little shed where
Brassic.
we do all the studio. So we're all very huddled together. It's a very small room, and we thought it might keep us warm, but actually it's been really cold down here today.
It's
think
warmer
it's warmer
now.
now.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
definitely warming up. Yeah. I just realised I bet the light's completely reflecting off my glasses. You know,
It did play merry hell with trying to get a key
really
when we
sorry.
did it with Alex.
I haven't realised. I'm old and I'm blind. I do
I'm gonna
apologise.
have Nima. I'm gonna be Kiki Nima.
Kiki Nima.
Yeah.
I like it. Kiki
Sounds
Nima.
like a good curry.
It does, doesn't it? I don't know if it's
So,
just hunger.
I'm-
dictating my
in
decision
the
making.
loveliest way, I'm going to pick on people to introduce their character. I'm going to do it with people that I know actually quite enjoy doing this stuff, so it gives you an idea before we come round
Yes.
to you.
Right, I love that.
What's
Yeah,
going to
don't
go?
start with me.
So, Sarah, I know you always like to talk a good character, so do you want to lead us off and just
Okay.
introduce your...
Yeah, so Quint is a Valkyrian individual who has the criminal background, and that's pretty well known by everybody on board because, frankly, they do jobs for them. They are, let's have a look, their best skills are stealth and sleight of hand, so they're very sneaky.
Mhm.
But they back it up with other skills, so a little bit of fortitude there, a bit of science, bit of mystification. No magic, no sight. Everything has to be done in hand by the person.
Okay.
None
cool.
of this weird stuff.
Okay.
No, they're really not into that.
Cool.
So yeah, they're very simple really. They are a natural born imposter. Why they're on this ship is unknown currently, but they are passing themselves off as a space janitor.
Okay. What are you not good at? What's your either deepest fear or your biggest flaw, or what's your character flaw? What's the personality thing or something?
I haven't looked into that yet because there is a section on the other sheet that does
There
go
is,
into
In a nice way,
personality.
it's kind of what's your gut feeling about the character rather than something written in the book. There's no game mechanic to it other than the one I'm going to introduce.
They're a little bit of a jack of all trades, but they're not bright.
Okay.
They're not the most
So
intelligent
if
person.
we were being objective about Quint, is it not the brightest button in the box?
Correct. So they can do a little bit of science. They can do a few other things, but you
it's
won't ask them
So
to.
it's more wisdom. They've been
Yeah.
around, they've
Yeah.
seen stuff, but actually, if it really came to it,
They're good
the
at
truth of the
seeing
matter
things.
is-
They're very good at doing physical things,
Okay.
but don't ask them to
So are you happy
work
to have
things out
that
on the fly.
as a quirk of your character?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Do you want to pop that down for me then?
Yeah.
Because we're going to use that. Jack.
Yes, so as far as any of these people know, the character's name is James Browning. A very,
Excellent.
a very
Get up. Sorry, go.
well. I intentionally added the ing on the end, but it's a very common Earth name for a very common Earth man. And yeah, the background.
There's a lot of people pretending to be something that they're not in this
Yeah.
game so far.
Yeah.
I see we've started as we're usually going on.
Yeah, but has a some bounty hunting in his background, and consistently will try and use that to make a little bit of money on the side in order to push forward. Because as nice as I can be, both he and I'm guessing the rest of the people at this table will probably end up having people start fights on them. And if not only do you win the fight, but then hand them over to someone and get paid for that, it's, all round good.
Okay. I think I already know your weakness,
Mm.
and I certainly know the weakness I'm going to make you play on.
Okay.
Shall we keep that between ourselves for now and just
well-
have that in game, or do you want to?
I think we can say enough that there is there's definitely a traumatic event in their past that they are still not. They've never been able to work through it, and
I'm thinking of your dietary concerns.
oh yeah, that as well will definitely come up. Definitely specific dietary requirements, but
Yeah, dairy free.
Yeah, absolutely.
absolutely, and everything is made with space milk nowadays.
Yeah, it's that blue milk.
And everything.
It's that blue
Absolutely.
milk from
Space
Starbucks.
milk.
You don't
I want to know what
realise-
you get that from. Are they kind of like intergalactic whales or something that we?
What we space milk? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's got to
Space
be.
milk
That's
is
the thing
just
now.
like
Well,
a terrible
space milk.
You can milk any
And it's
animal
blue,
with
of
nipples.
course, isn't
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You can milk any animal with nipples. It's just whether or not you should
No.
that comes into question.
There's your first T-shirt.
Yeah.
Right. So do you want to pop that? Are you happy to have that as a flaw on your
Yeah.
dietary requirements?
Yeah.
That's the one I was going to go for.
Yeah. No problem. I'll
Oh, we're
phrase
all
it.
very
where I-
mystical, aren't we, about what's going on?
Yes, absolutely.
Ross.
Yeah, so Skull, that's his name, no name,
Excellent.
Skull, right? And his he doesn't have a surname actually, but he has a nickname from the pit fighting, which is Sky Beast for jumping. Yeah, which is because he descends from the cage.
I won't going to interrupt Ross at this point. Ross is renowned around our table for playing and having the adventures of most of his characters are a sea beast. Their surname is always something sea beast. So it's nice to see that the tradition is being carried on.
And evolved and practical, because the point here is he jumped from the sky. He's a good climber. Yeah, he's
Oh, he's
an
good.
extremely brutal fighter.
It's
He's
on the
been
nose, isn't it, this nickname?
So he literally, that's why it's his nickname. And the reason he doesn't have a surname is because as a child, there was a fatal crash. He was with his parents and his sister, and they don't really know what happened, whether it got blown out of the sky. He still would like to understand, but as a result, they were both orphaned. We don't know where his sister is, but he was taken over by the Valkyrian mafia. But
Okay.
put to work in the pits, and so
Okay.
he literally, that's his life. He's done a little
Okay.
bit of mercenary
Nice.
stuff for them.
Can you make sure that you
That's
put all that down for me, because I want to
Yeah,
get
I've kind
at
of got that.
when
That's,
you
that's
do
him.
this.
But he's really
Brilliant.
shit with technology, like really incompetent and very
Okay.
impatient, because he's never really had any. He's not had to do with any.
And
So
is that going to
so
be your flaw?
That is a definite flaw.
Okay, so
I
if you make
do
sure we've
love-
got that on your character sheet.
How long your pause was after he is a bit shit with technology.
Not just a bit.
Yeah,
shit.
imagine that being your character flaw. Just a bit shit.
With technology. Everything else.
I kind of like that as a character.
Can we be
Yeah.
friends?
Just
Because my Valkyrian has links with the mob, so maybe I've helped you out.
Yes, nice. We've got a link. Excellent. Yeah.
We will come back to that.
Good.
Max.
Yes, I'm Dante Butterworth. During the war,
Morris Dancer.
I was sort of a commander of men.
Sexist.
And if I
I
found
like
a
the-
woman, I would throw her out the airlock.
Wow.
Because I only
Wow, this
command
went downhill
men.
fast.
I was a pretty high up leader for the humans until I went
Oh.
on a relief mission that went incredibly poorly. I was injured and I was all scarred up and
Right.
stuff. And basically, they didn't want the propaganda PR loss of that to go public, so the Terrans paid me off and just said, "Just lay low. Here's a load of money. Shut up."
Okay.
So,
So would you be considered in some quarters to be guilty of war crimes?
possibly, but also I wouldn't be liked by the Terrans because I then.
So
Stopped
hated by
help.
everybody.
Yeah.
That's a flaw.
So now I
Could
just
go
sort
with
of
that.
work as
And loved by
a
Al.
security contractor.
So would that be okay as a flaw, or have you
Yeah.
got something else in mind? So if we
No,
go with
no,
like, you know, the Terrans want you to keep quiet, but
Mhm.
certain, and we can come into that and talk about that.
Yeah.
Certain races might consider you war
A
criminal.
war criminal, yeah.
Yeah. So let's have that on your sheet.
I like Terrans.
So
though.
you get the ideas.
Right.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I had a friend
What
called
do you
Brian.
I'm
he
ready.
was
Are you
really
up for it?
Terran.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool,
He
go
got
for
killed.
it.
I would like
Right,
Yeah,
James?
you can call
Bit of
me
hush
Ryan
in the
if it
back.
Gentlemen,
Right.
thank you.
So, so I would like to just reiterate for the people at home that I don't know what I'm doing. So sorry if
It
this is,
just makes you one of all of us then.
sorry if this is a bit basic, bitch. So, I am a Navarian called Kiki Nima. I am captain of the ship Danson, who is my friend, my confidant, and really the only entity that I truly trust.
Oh, right, okay.
I feel like, yeah. I feel like I'm an all-round good egg. Like I'm liked and I'm respected by my crew.
I can't wait until you meet this lot. It's like that's great because we've got conflict immediately before we.
Well, hang on.
Yeah.
Let me finish. So my crew, I'm liked and respected by my crew, who refers to me as captain, unless they're in a level of crew that I trust and have known a long time, refers to me as Skip, affectionately. But that's
Skipper,
got to be earned, right? That's
Yeah, cool.
I sort of captaining of ships was like a family business that I went into, and I went into it kind of bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at first, very earnest, maybe a bit naive, but then I had an experience in the war which has left me quite jaded.
Okay.
And with I'm not ready to talk about it yet.
Okay.
But
yeah,
I really have a bit of a hatred for terror.
Does Danson know about it? Was Danson
Danson
involved
knows.
in it?
Danson and me went through it together.
Okay.
But it has left me with a real prejudice against Terrence.
Oh.
Excellent.
Well, that's going to be a
So is
problem.
that going to be your flaw? That's your flaw?
Yeah, well, you know, if you were there, you'd understand.
Right.
That could be my flaw. I think my strengths are going to be fortitude, because I'm like tough/manic in a crisis.
Yep.
And insight, because I'm very empathic, to the point where that's a strength and a weakness, and I constantly doubt myself.
Excellent. That's great. Brilliant. Well
What I've done
Hang
is
on,
really
that's
nice.
lovely.
What I've
That's
done is
really
it's
nice.
drawn on my human character.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But I really like
Yeah.
that. There's loads that we can use there.
Okay,
So
good.
loads of little story points that we can grab and do things. So that's really
schmarrons.
cool.
Yeah.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have a little something
Uh-oh.
in the top hat.
Ooh, top hat.
And it's not these. But
Well, it was. It's not anymore.
it's not anymore.
You wear a
So-
top hat
They're
sometimes.
so shiny.
They're so shiny. Yes. Now these are going to be our equivalent of inspiration points that we're going to use. But
I bet-
we're going to come on to how you.
Then
So I'm going to pass the top hat around. There's only a few little pieces of paper in here, numbered 1 to 5.
So pick up your 3 for me.
If you pick up 3, put it back. You
Ah.
need to pick up somebody else's number. Okay. I don't want you to tell anybody
Okay.
whose number you've got.
Uh-huh.
The person that you get. So obviously, so he's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You have something. You know something about that character. Okay. Could be good. Could be bad. Could be funny. Could be sad. Whatever.
Is this part of the rules? Is this
No,
how?
I
Oh,
just made
cool.
it up.
Like it. No,
Wild
card.
I love it.
So basically, you're going to pass it up and down, and then I want you to don't reveal anything. You just keep it to yourself. You don't have to. You can think about it. You don't have to do it now because we don't know what it is. But you need to go away. Now you've heard everybody's backstory and decide what that thing is that you know about them. Okay, and then that's another thing that might get you. So what we're going to do with these, with our inspiration points, is the flaw that you've now got on your character sheet, plus this one. I'm going to come along to you some point during the game and kind of go, you know how you really hate Terrans? You've walked into a bar full of Terrans. And I'm going to give you this, right? And if you accept it, if that's going to be for your flaw, if you allow me to put you into trouble for that,
Right.
I'll allow you get like a free thing. You can add something to the game world. You can say that crappy roll that you made, now it was a great roll, I did brilliantly, you know, or whatever. Or you can help somebody else out at the table, but you only get one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's a couple of ways that you're going to be able to get them. That's by me sort of going, well, you know, I can pick that on your character sheet and get you into trouble, but I'll give you a reward for letting me do it. Okay,
Okay.
You get the idea?
Yeah, for sure.
So we're going to pass this up and down, and then
Cool.
obviously
And if you weren't paying attention to everybody else's character because you were focused on yourself,
we can always go over
would
it
I have an
another
opportunity
day.
to talk to you about
Absolutely,
that in
because
private?
we can always send you the footage of everybody doing this. And you can watch
Even
it.
better.
Yeah, there'll be a video. You can
Obviously, if it's your own number, put it back in.
I know all of my
Oh.
own secrets.
So
He has chosen.
I put this back in.
No, you keep it,
I
otherwise
keep
we
it.
end up with the same.
Well,
thing.
you know, we might all gang up on someone.
So,
Yeah.
wow, she learns fast.
I would like to just point out that my character comes with knives.
Oh. Well, it's okay. His comes with natural claws and weapons. so,
My
yeah.
character comes with self-doubt.
And a ship you can park on.
Oh yeah, Martin, in the character sheet where it says disposition, do you just like write nervous or something in there?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure, Max. I'll have to look
Because
that up.
that's an interesting one.
Yeah, I'll find it, and I don't know. I'm sorry.
Can we use the top hat for more things? I enjoy. I just not.
I
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
like
it.
We should be part of our like gang. You know, it's like
No,
almost like
no,
the
we will
invisible
have.
man.
Don't
We're
worry.
the
We'll
top
be
hat
doing all
crew.
sorts of things. I will be fucking around with these poor people's game all over the place. I'm really sorry, Lightfish. I'm sure this isn't how you envisage your game being used at all, but nevertheless, it's what we're going to do.
Oh yeah, right.
Max is just trying to work. He's counting. He's counting to work out which numbers what. So don't lose those. Don't let those pieces of paper drop around anyway. If someone finds it, they're going to know that
Yeah.
what number you've got.
I was going to say, it's very risky for with Max because it's distinctly possible that none of us pulled our own number and then gets to Max,
Yeah.
he pulls out one and it's like, okay, start again.
Yeah. Okay, so that worked out. Everybody's got a different number than the number they started out with. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay, and you know what to do. You don't have to do it now. You
Yeah.
can go away, have a think about it, put something down, or let me know. You know, later on. Just send me a message.
Are we determining what it is we know on the person we've picked the ticket
Yeah.
for?
So it might be something you've got on them, or it could be a good thing or a bad thing.
But they
or-
obviously aren't going to know what we know
No.
about them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So you're basically adding to their story.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But we're kind of, in the sense of cooperation, we're all agreeing to the contract that it's kind of like, yeah, that's cool, okay, I'll take that on board. So
Yeah.
the idea, so
Not
we're
like,
all,
no, I don't have it.
what we want to do when we're playing, generally what we try and do is build on what each other do, rather than sort of tearing it all down and going, we try and sort of go, okay, that wasn't where I was thinking it was going, but okay, cool, we'll try and go with that. Unless it's something game breaking that you really, really hate or something like that, then obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my
or
secret is they
incredibly
have no
mean-spirited.
legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. My secret for someone is they have no legs.
Oh wow, that's that's harsh. Yeah, wow. But that kind of thing. I think we've got some really interesting characters there. I'm really looking forward to how we actually get around to meeting them all, which is what we will do when we actually start playing the game in our future episodes, which we'll be able to see on YouTube and Twitch and all sorts of places when we've sorted it all out, because we don't know yet, but it will all be on YouTube, that's for sure. Thank you everybody, thank you so much for your attention, thank you very much, thank you for watching, and we'll catch you all again another time. Goodbye for now. Bye.
This is Admiral Trevelyan, Commander of Terran Forces. To all units, the battle for Earth is over. We can no longer protect our home. Our so-called leaders have capitulated to the Kurgan and a ceasefire has been issued. I intend to save what forces I can and fight on. I will return to claim my birthright. To humanity I say, see to your homes and your families, save yourselves and your loved ones, but look to the skies. We will have vengeance.